Okay. Hello. I'm Jarrell. Um, this is going to be my review for the Karrera 5-string banjo. I'm not a YouTuber or a reviewer or anything, but I just wanted to share my thoughts and experiences on this banjo that I picked up from eBay. It's obviously entry level. It's quite cheap, but I was looking for information and reviews when I was deciding whether or not I was going to pick this up, and I couldn't really find any. So this hopefully will help people decide whether or not they want to pick this up. So I think I picked this up for about 185 Australian dollars. I don't know what that is in US. And just right out the gate, I'm going to say I'm very happy with this banjo. If you only have 185 Australian dollars and you desperately need a banjo, yeah, this is a great banjo if you're either upgrading from a piece of garbage or you don't have one. That being said, I have had to do a fair bit of work on the banjo to get it playable. And so if you're a bit hands-on and you're a bit practical, good with your hands, absolutely. But I do know that there is another option from Kamise, and they make a banjo, and they have one on eBay that's about $30, $35 more expensive. Kamise is an excellent brand. All of their instruments seem to have extremely good build quality, particularly for the entry-level prices that you're paying for a Kamise or Kamise. So if you have that extra 30 odd dollars, I would say go for the Kamise. But if you really just need the cheapest option in terms of entry level and pricing, if you're just looking for a banjo to see if it's right for you, then yeah, I'd say this is a good option. So right out the gate, the strings that it comes with are just terrible. They're really the worst. They were very ill-fitting for a banjo. They were not even loop end, they were ball end. So that means that loop end instruments hook around on there and the string loops on there, and then that helps you, the string attaches there. Ball end, they're kind of like a guitar, so they were just sort of sitting there, which is real weird. I've never seen that on a banjo, but you know, I'm not a doctor. I don't know everything about banjos, but I'd never seen one like that. It was quite unfortunate, and they sounded horrible. They were really thick gauge. They made the instrument sound very dead. It also came with this terrible, terrible bridge, which is pretty much a Happy Meal toy. It wasn't good at all. It's not very useful. It's quite thick. It deadened the sound a lot. It was very terrible. I'm going to use that for a fun project later on. I'm going to be experimenting with an old banjo. But I replaced it with, I think this is maple and rosewood. I'm just sort of sitting at how it's sitting, actually. Okay. Yeah, and it sounds fantastic. So that one is, yeah, maple and rosewood, I think is what that is, which is one of the preferred, that sort of the typical. Oh, my bridge is at a bit of an angle, actually. I might fix that later. Anyway, I picked up some D'Addario lights. So these are light banjo strings. This thing really sings. It has a great tone. It's really fantastic. So right at the gate, it comes with a tool. This is for the Karrera. It came with the tool so you can adjust the tension on the head. So you want the head to have equal tension all the way around, and you can tap it with a metal tool. I don't feel comfortable hitting this membrane with a metal tool. I sort of use my nail. Let's just give it a bit of a pop. So if you sort of hit that, you can see it's still a little, this area has a lower pitch than here when you hit it. So this area probably could be tightened up a bit. But when it's shipped, and I tend to find these on any sort of banjo-esque instruments that have membrane, they're generally shipped with low tension. It's probably to protect them, to stop them from or help prevent them from getting damaged during shipping and during storage. I'm sure they're sitting around for who knows how long. So generally, if your instrument has a very dull, lifeless sound, it could be because there isn't enough tension. I'm not a doctor. There's plenty of experienced banjo players out there. If you look on forum posts and look up YouTube videos. They'll explain the best way to tighten those. I read the forums and I watched a few videos, so I just followed a few guides on how to tighten that up. So I tightened that up and I tried to get it as even as possible. It's still a bit tighter here than it is here. It may have been because it's settled over the past week or so. I've had this about 2 or 3 weeks now, but I was waiting for my bridge to be delivered. It was quite unpleasant playing with this actually, because it's actually quite high. It's substantially high. I don't know. I'll see if I can sort of show here. You can see how much higher this was. So the action on this Happy Meal toy bridge was uncomfortably high, and certainly not correct. So it made it difficult to fret and form chords once you get up here, like you sort of have this guy here. It was very difficult to play on that. I should have checked if this was in tune. You know, I've seen like an endless number of people's videos on YouTube where they start, you know, doing their instrument, and I think, oh gee, they should have tuned it first. I didn't check if this thing was in tune. I actually, I was playing other instruments earlier this morning, and I didn't even think to check this guy. He was in tune yesterday. It's a little bit flat. Let's see here. So, I'm not an incredible banjo player. I'm not the best in the world, but I do practice. I'm trying to improve as much as I can, so I have a lot of fun with it. But you can hear there's quite a bit of clarity to it. I don't have my picks on me. Hold on, I've got this one here. This is unshaped. You know, you've got to shape these. Set them down somewhere on the other side of the house. Okay, just so you can hear it with a metal pick. So I'm very happy with the sound. One problem that I really had, which is it's kind of a major problem, is there were a number of hand manufacturing errors. And what that means is I can tell that whoever was working on this had either nicked the board, they'd scuffed it up, and it doesn't say good things about the process through which this was built and constructed. For example, look at the fretboard here. I'll see if I can get that to show up here. There's quite a few scratches. You can see here there's some sort of imperfection on the wood, maybe a cut or a nick. All through here there's scratches. You can see like maybe they were sanding it or scouring it and they hit it with a rasp, particularly here. Obviously when they were installing this guy, you can see it, there we go. So obviously they hit it with a rasp and didn't really clean it up great. There's a number of things like that all along the fretboard. You can see some scuffing here as well. What is up with that? So the fretboard, extremely unimpressive. The manufacturing is really rough. That being said, the intonation is good. The intonation seems right. The inlays are not sticking out, but this one's in there real rough, you know. It's pretty rough. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. It's quite sturdy. I really like the sound. It's got a lot of projection. It's got a great tonal clarity. I love the tone of it. It feels great to play. The neck feels fantastic. I used lavender oil on the fretboard, so I removed the strings, and the fretboard was extremely dry. It looked like a desert that hadn't seen rain for a decade. So I used lavender oil to oil up the board. It looked terribly unfinished, which is something I noticed on my Karrera P bass, is that the fretboard was extremely dry. So I did the same treatment on that with just a bit of lavender oil. It's still looking a bit dry, I'm waiting for some lemon oil to be delivered, and I'm going to condition these with some lemon oil that's meant for guitar fretboards. So yeah, in summary, the strings useless, but any sort of instrument in this sort of uh, entry level range, it's never going to come with acceptable strings. You're just going to have to keep that in mind. The bridge needs to be replaced immediately. The fretboard, absolutely, you really should be oiling that if it's extremely dry. And the problem with that is if it's raw and vulnerable, it's going to pick up any sort of grease and dirt on your fingers, and it's going to store it in there. If it's not protected, you're going to get warping on the fretboard. It's not going to last you years and years. So it is important that your fretboard is protected, that it soaks in oil, and that's true for any sort of instrument with a fretboard, but particularly when these Karrera necks don't seem to have been given the amount of care that they need in order to have them finished and protected. You'll have to do that yourself. It's not very difficult. It's easy. It's fun. Lavender oil smells very soothing. So, I mean, you're in for a nice, relaxing, a few minutes. And then for a few days after, your instrument will smell quite lovely. The tuning machines, these are smooth. I haven't had a problem with my strings staying in tune. The tuning machines are smooth and easy to use. It comes with a friction peg here. I would like to replace this with a gear tuner. It's brutal trying to fine tune this. You move it, the width of a hair, and all of a sudden you're way too sharp, you're way too flat. I have seen that you can just buy friction tuners and replace that, so I would like to look into that option in the future. But for about 188, and yeah, I think that's what it was, Australian dollars. If that's all you've got, yeah, absolutely. This is really fantastic. I really enjoy that. Again, I had to do a little bit of work. Oh, the nut itself was also very high. It was extremely high, uncomfortable. The strings were just floating off in outer space pretty much, nowhere near the frets. So you can see the action that I've got here. I always wondered what sort of action banjo players preferred. So I'll just share mine. You can see the action's really low there. That's how I've got it. So if you're going to adjust the nut there yourself, oh man, I didn't even shave. Terrible. And here's my action higher up. And there we go. So you can get tools to adjust that yourself. I don't know where I set mine. Oh, well, I was using it earlier. I must have left it in the other room. I was adjusting another instrument. So you can get tools that are just like, that'll let you file those down. They're cheapest chips, easy to get. But I'm really happy. I don't know anything off the top of my head. I'm not a great player. I'd set my picks down in the other room. Anyway, I mean, phone cameras don't have good microphones anyway. I mean, there's no point in me playing this because you can't really tell how good it sounds. I played a few banjos in the past, and I've owned an old Lero, R-E-R-O. It was a fixer-upper. It was in bits and pieces when I got it. I spent a fair amount of money as a teenager fixing that up, and I've had it my whole life. But the frets were really low, the neck was everything was messed up. It didn't matter what I replaced. It was not a pleasant instrument to play. It never sounded good. Putting, decent strings, adjusting the bridge, adjusting the nut. This feels great to play. I think it sounds great. To me, it's an instrument that I'm going to be happy playing with for many years to come. I'm not interested in upgrading anytime soon. Because I'm very happy with it. If I had known that there were going to be manufacturing defects on the fretboard, and if it was going to be so jacked up, which is a technical term, then I would have spent the extra 35 or whatever dollars on the camise, because camise has excellent build quality. I'll do a review for a camise instrument next. And those instruments, ooh, wow, they are nice. So, hey, look, things in the world aren't beautiful because they're perfect. They're beautiful because they're imperfect, and we love them anyway. So, I love this thing. I'm going to be playing it for a long time. I'm going to be making a lot of music with this. Yes, so that's my review. I give it a, yeah, out of 10. Thanks for watching. I'm not a reviewer, okay? I've got a couple instruments that I've gotten recently, so I'm going to do some videos for them. I hope that you are safe and healthy and you are happy wherever you are in life. Take care of yourself, and then I'm going to do another review, so stop by for that.